Hey guys, welcome back. Today, well, you're gonna see what we're gonna do today. We're gonna be reviewing a locomotive. Um, First off, this is a Broadway Limited Paragon 2 484 Northern. The ATSF modernized 484 Northern. Um, I got this refurbished, so it's not a brand new model, but it is definitely still a Broadway Limited quality model, certified and refurbished, even though I actually ended up having to send it back to be fixed. But I will go over that in a minute. Um, my buddy Harry pointed this out to me. He showed it to me. He, first of all, you may be asking, well, you're not a steam modeler, you're a diesel modeler, and you model the '70s. I'm pretty sure that wasn't around in the '70s. Well, you're right. This locomotive was not really around in the '70s, even though one is still around today at the over in California somewhere. 3751 is still around. This is 3754. Um, but either way, I I model diesel, but there's a few steam locomotives that I personally really like. That includes the 464 Hudson, the 484 Northern, the 2102 Santa Fe, and the 2104 Texan. Those will all be models that I get eventually. I may or may not do reviews of them depending on if they're brand new or not or what have you. Um, but this model is an extremely good model, and I got it, and I'm going to be keeping it. I really, really like it. Very nice model, and we're going to show you, well, why I like it so much. Um, I'm going to give a little. I just got to say this. I am not a steam modeler, and if I say something wrong, or I do not go over a part that was important, or I call a part that isn't the right name, if I say something else, or I don't say the right name, um, sorry, not a steam modeler, and I don't know. Just don't get mad. Don't go say something in the comments because it's not worth it. And if you know what it is, then you know what I was talking about anyway. Um, so let me go ahead and tell you what happened. I bought this refurbished for $249, which or at $239, so $240. Um, Refurbished, very nice model, really really nice. And I had to send it back because it was not running perfectly right. There was a problem with the back EMF in the decoder, and the locomotive was stalling for some reason, and it was really odd, jerky operation. So I sent it back and they fixed it, but when I got it back, the eccentric rod here was not hooked up correctly. As you can see, this piece that rotates the eccentric rod was actually about a 200 degrees out of alignment, so it would turn a few cranks and then it would just tighten up and the locomotive would seize. Same thing in reverse. So I thought about sending it back to Broadway Limited, and then thought, I could send it back to Broadway Limited, or I could just sit here and take it apart, and if I can't fix it, then I'll send it back. So I took it apart, ended up fixing it myself, so it wasn't actually all that hard. I just looked at the other side and saw where it should be sitting, then gave power to it so it would turn to the same position, and then put it just like I remembered the other side was. So like right now, the slide is right here. It is at almost full bottom, and it should be sticking straight up. So that's all I have to say about that. They got it fixed, the first problem, and I had to fix the second problem. I could have sent it back to them, and they would have fixed that too, no problem, but didn't want to wait 2 weeks for them to fix that. So, other than that, go ahead and start the actual review now that I've been talking for 4.5 minutes. First of all, I just want to say it has the typical problem that most BLIs have. It is very glossy. So if I shine a light on it, it is going to be really, really shiny. And that is one thing that I do not like about Broadway Limited. It is very, very shiny. And that they are all like that. But this one especially, because it has a smoke unit. And the smoke unit leaves a little bit of residue around the front end. which I mean is not really visible that much, but it does tend to pick up hair and dust a lot, so I end up wiping that with a cloth a lot. Other than that, like really good detail, very smooth running. We have walkway tread on the sides here, nice steps. I can go ahead and move the camera closer so we can actually look at this. So we'll go ahead and start with the pilot. If the camera will sit still, maybe. And now if it will focus, that would be nice too. Alright, it doesn't really want to focus, but what you're seeing is the coupler cut lever. It's not really wanting to focus on. We have the modernized version has the smaller snowplow, but with the steps on the side. Now, you see a KD coupler here. It does not come with a KD coupler. It comes with a fake coupler that actually looks really realistic, but it doesn't work. So I went and replaced it with the KD. Now, the KD will not move back and forth, but it does at least open and close, so I can, use it a little bit at least. Again, we also have walkway tread on each stair, which looks really nice. We have all kinds of piping up in the front of the locomotive. Not sure what all that is, but it looks very nicely detailed. On the front of the boiler, we have our nose-mounted headlight, a very crisp number board, maybe, if it would focus on that. A very crisp number board, even though my camera doesn't want to look at it. We have a nice LED headlight that is very bright. I'll demonstrate that later. Then up towards the top, sorry, this thing's kind of tall. There we go, that should work, right? But air brake hoses up front. The ends are not silver tipped, but on the tender they are because I did them myself with my silver Sharpie, and I just haven't done those yet. Like I said, we have a working coupler cut lever. I said about the headlight and the number board. We have a working bell up front too, which I like. And when the locomotive hits bumps, the bell actually moves a little bit, which is pretty cool looking. Now, I meant to include some of the things in the box because we actually need to talk about this real quick. I did not do an unboxing because it is very hard to unbox it, being that it is a steam engine. But it comes with a funnel, smoke fluid, and some detail parts, or traction tires, smokestack, maybe, yeah, smokestack number 1, which is the bent style like that, smokestack number 2, which is just the extended top. Now, Santa Fe had all 3, depending on which one it is, and depending on what day it was. I'm going to leave the one that's on there, 1, because I don't want to change it, and 2, it looks better on the model. The other ones kind of look oversized on the model. So, I'm just going to leave that one. But, back to the model itself. We can come along the side now. I think I'm finished with the front at least. Go ahead and get close so we can read that. There we go. It is actually legible if you were to look at it, but I cannot get the camera to focus like I want it to. But it basically says, that's the builder's plate made by Baldwin Locomotive Works, 1929. I think 28, 29. So, that's about all there is there. We have lots of rivet detail all over the model. Oh, I meant to say that the smokestacks are all made of cast metal because the smoke fluid makes them very hot, so I would also recommend not touching them as well. Up towards the top, we also have a nicely made metal blackened grab iron and some other piping detail. I'm not sure exactly what it all is. More crisp, nicely painted number boards. Really? It was just focused, and then it went out of focus. sure what its issue is. There we go. Nice crisply printed number boards on each side. I don't know why it will. If you click somewhere else, it focuses just fine, but if you click on those, they don't. But there we go. Printed number boards on the front, side, and back, or on the sand hatch. More various piping along the roof and on the top. Go ahead and slide the model down a little bit. And see also even more individually made piping detail, which is very nice. I can actually slide the screwdriver between them. And they come all the way down the side of the model. Looks all really good. Rivets on the side of the firebox. Then we can actually see straight through the model there, which is realistic. That's how the real one would have been. And here we can actually see the motor box right here. Oops. That was an accident. You can see the motor box right in here. I didn't mean to touch the drive wheel there. So have these boxes on the side. I'm not sure what they are, but we have them. Along our grab iron, we also have another piece of metal wire there, which you probably can't see. The second piece of metal wire, which is our pull cord for the whistle. So it runs back into the cab. It would be the pull cord for our whistle. More piping. Back to the cab, we have working roof vents, which I really like. I leave them open just because I like the look of them open. Back to the cab here. Since I'm running 18-inch curves, I have the tender in the second hole instead of the front one, which I would normally put it up in the front one, but this box up on top of the tender will get caught up under the cab if I have it closed, so that isn't feasible. We have a person in the cab, a window up here, but no window here, and sunshades as well. We have our plate right here, which is all nice, and it has a tread as well. You have to install. That is also another detail part that I've already installed. I'm going to turn on the light, and we can see some of the in-cab detail. It's very detailed inside the cab. You can also see our 6-pin JST, I think, plug under the bottom there, which isn't visible when you have the locomotive close coupled, but it is kind of visible right now. But as you can see, we have windows, cab interior, very nice looking interior actually. And that's about all I have to say about that. Next we have the tender. Let me back this up. And you can see all the very nice rivet detail on the side of the tender, and some of the detail on the trucks, and the underbody detail with the boxes and parts on the side. We also have fairly sturdy handrails up on top. And up to the top we have our hatches for different stuff, oil and water, which is all you'd be putting in this tender. Then to the back of the tender, like I said, I painted those silver. Those did not come silver. I had to paint those myself. But we also have a KD number 5 coupler, which actually has a pretty far range of swing to it, which is nice. We have a ladder detail and all crisply painted detail on the back, and our reverse light. I would show you the other side of the model, but it's actually exactly the same, except for, minor, small details. But since this model is so big, it's not easy to just turn it around. But now I guess we can go over the sound and some other functions and other functionality of it. Let me go ahead and pack some of this other stuff up, and I'll get right back. Alright, sorry about that. I thought I paused the recording, but I guess I didn't. Yeah, that little bit of silence was supposed to be paused. But I put the box up here and I moved the camera a little bit, packed up all the stuff. Now I want to show you just some of the functions and what it does. I'm going to do it silent because it will play some of the sounds while it's muted, like the horn and the whistle and all that. Sorry about that. Like the whistle and the bell, and a few other things as well. The coupler clank I think it will play maybe. But also want to talk about the smoke as well before we get sounds turned on and it's too loud to hear anything. So first let's turn the smoke on, and it will take a minute for it to warm up. F7 turns the smoke on, so when F7 is on, the smoke is on. When F7 is off, the smoke is off. So we want F7 on, and the smoke generator will turn on and get warmed up. So that will take a minute. I will come back when it is. Alright guys, the smoke generator is up and running, and you should be able to see some right there. Trying to use the box as a nice dark background, but I don't think it's dark enough. We can put this back here behind it though. And there we go, that looks better. You can see the smoke coming out of the smokestack right here. I actually have modified it a little bit. I turned it up a little bit. So, I programmed the CV to 50, which is max, and when it's moving, it also has another max, which is 90. I have programmed just so for the review we can see the smoke very well. And I've also added a little bit of extra fluid just so I make sure we get a nice strong steam out of it so that we can see it. So giving it one speed step, it will, I'll also go over the drivetrain. So one speed step will make it puff, and it will be perfectly synchronized with the chuff itself. So we'll go ahead and see that now. Maybe if it goes the right direction. It's a little derailed, sorry about that. As you can see, it has a nice smooth operation and a nice strong chuff, or a nice strong puff of smoke. Let me put that up a little bit. The camera might not be picking it up perfectly just because it's a little confused on what it's picking up, but one speed step is very smooth operation and a really nice strong shot of smoke. Now up in the higher ranges though, I see that the smoke is kind of gone. About just over about 30 speed steps and you can't see the smoke anymore, but it, sitting still and moving slow, you can see the smoke very well. And actually that is a lot of smoke that it's putting out now. A little bit of that extra fluid helped it a lot. So that's about it for the smoke. Go ahead and turn on the sounds. Or actually first let's go ahead and do the lights just because they're easy. And I'll do the reverse light later just so I don't have to turn it around. We'll go ahead and turn it off and we'll see the lights. So here's the headlight. And that is dim. I'm going to turn it off. Put it in reverse so we can see it at full brightness. I have to rotate the camera a little bit. So that is Rule 17 on, and that is full brightness. So like I said, very, very bright headlight. And it actually lights up the track in it. It actually is not pointed straight. It's actually angled down just a little bit so that it lights up the track in front of it instead of just making light. It's a very interesting idea. It works very well. So now that we're done with that, I'll go turn the lights back on after I get the camera propped up again. Alright, so we'll go over sounds. This has two speakers out of the Paragon 2 decoder, and it is all back there in the tender. Very, very, very loud, I will say. Oh, and before we start that, we were just talking about the smoke. I want to talk about the smoke real quick. The BLI smoke, I will say, does not smell very good. And, that's kind of to be expected. MTH makes any smoke fluid will work in any locomotive. So, but MTH makes a line of smoke that smells good. You know, apple pie is one of their scents, and a few other things they make is pretty decent, and it you know adds a little bit of joy and makes your locomotive kind of a mobile, or kind of a it makes your locomotive kind of smell like a scented candle, depending on which one you get. There's all kinds of different types and smells and stuff. So, that's about all I had to say about that. Just to point out, you know, there are other smokes you can get, makes it smell a little better. So, seem to be a little low on smoke. I guess it was just a little phase that it shuts it off for a second. But we'll go ahead and bring the sounds on now, so pressing F8 will unmute it. And actually, I'm going to turn the track power off and turn the track power back on so that we get a better sound. So I'm going to unmute it, turn the power off, and turn the power back on. And now we'll get to hear the startup sequence. So that's the startup sequence. It just basically is just getting it started and getting the headlight on. Now we're just going to listen to some random sounds first. Now I'll go through the sounds itself. So we have F1. I'm just going to do 1 through 12 because that's all I have on my DT402R that, you know, doesn't require complication to access. So F1 will be the bell. F2 is the whistle. I just love that whistle, especially the ending. Makes it sound really good. F3 is coupler clank. So there's that. 4 is something, I think it's something loud too, so brace yourself. Maybe not. One of these next functions is something loud. I do remember that. Coupler clink again. F5. There we go. Yeah, F5 is the loud one. I'll do that again. F5 is the loud one. Not sure what that is exactly, but all I know is it's loud. F6 might be loud. Nope. Oh, F6 is the water. So that was F6, all the banging and clanking. That was, you know, adding water and taking water, or adding more water to the tender. F7 is the smoke, so I'm not going to press that. F8 is mute. And F9 shuts it down, so I'll go ahead and, well, I'll do 10, 11, and 12 and then shut it down. F10 is, well, whatever that is. Not sure what that was, but now the automatic sounds has taken over. F11. That weird sound is F11. I'll tell you right when I press F11 so you can make sure that you hear it. 1, 2, 3, press. So that's the sound of F11, and F12 is locking the brakes and unlocking the brakes. So now I'll do F9. It should shut it off. So that's it. Let me fire it back up. So that's about it. We will go into the operations and sound now, and then I'll show you the reverse light. So this is one speed step, and it's actually timed very, very well, and I accidentally just shut it off. 1 second, let me turn it back on. Alright, so as it comes back on, it's actually timed very well. You get 4 chuffs in the rotation. And of course you get the smoke, which is perfectly timed as well. So we'll go ahead and see that. If it looks a little shaky, that is the camera, not the locomotive itself. The camera is acting kind of weird. And here's the reverse light. Let me stop and show you the reverse light real quick. As you can see, it is in that small little house there. And off, you can tell that it's actually a very bright little light as well. So I just wanted to let you see that. So it's in that little housing all by itself, no bleed through or anything, and it looks really good. The sound itself, it sounds really good, and it has really smooth operation. Very, very nice locomotive. All I have left is, well, rating, weighing, telling you how I feel about it. Should be all I have left. And I want you to see it pull a train. So let's see it pull a train first, and then I will go into, well, whatever else we have to do. So, we'll go ahead and do that now, before I have to take it off the track, because we have to take it off the track to weigh it. So, let's go ahead and watch it pull a train. Alright guys, so here it is. We'll go ahead and watch it pull this train. Now, I have to say, this train is very heavy, even though it's short. I have a few locomotives that can't even move it. So, this will just show you the power. And I will actually go over some of its power in a minute when we weigh it. So, let's go ahead and, well, watch it pull this train. Now you might can see it doesn't run perfectly smooth on these 22-inch radius curves. 22-inch radius is the smallest it will go. Any smaller than it just derails. So what I'm saying is, you know, if it does look a little off, that's because of the radius of the curves. It actually runs really good straight, but it's these curves that are causing it to have a little bit of issue. Also, really sorry about the length of this video, and the fact that it actually is kind of 2 videos, but my phone just kind of quit, and I didn't want to record the whole first part, because I got about 5-6 minutes through. Didn't want to re-record it all, so. But I am going to cut a little bit of time by pausing it until the locomotive gets back to where we can see it, so. Alright, so here's a little bit faster of a run by. This is a pretty reasonable rate of speed. I'm not sure exactly, but... As you can see, at the higher speed it is very, very smooth and runs really well. So, but as you can also see, you do not see very much smoke. I'm not sure why that is. But, so this right here will be a fairly quick speed. I mean, you probably wouldn't see him running much faster than this. This is 67 speed steps, by the way. Sorry about the truck, I just had to move it out of the way real quick. But now I'm gonna weigh it. As you can see, I have to put this box on top of the scale. So I'm just going to show you, just to be fair, I'm going to take the box off, turn it on, and first we're going to weigh the locomotive and tender as a whole. So now it's at 0. Now I'm going to put the box on. Now I'm going to put that back to 0. Now I'm going to put the locomotive and tender up onto the box. We have 1.5 pounds, or just over 1.5 pounds. So now I'm going to pick up, well, actually, let's do it in grams first. In grams, 724 grams. So now I'm going to take the locomotive off, get rid of the box, recalibrate it. We're going to put just the locomotive up on there. And I'm actually going to have to hold the tender a little bit. So that's the weight without the tender. So just over 1 pound without the tender. And in grams is 513 grams, I will say. So, alright guys, that's all I had for you. I'll go ahead and rate it as well. So alright guys, so I usually rate stuff at the end of the video. So I'll go ahead and give you my rating. It's usually a 1 to 10 scale, based on operations, detail, and sound. Since this is a sound locomotive, usually it's just operations and detail, but this has sound. So, based on the operations, detail, and sound, I will give it definitely, since sound and operation are kind of hand in hand with a steam locomotive. For sound and operation, I definitely give it a solid 8. I'm gonna give it a solid 8. Partly because I had to send it back to be fixed, and I had to fix it myself. But it is a little jerky at some different speeds. Just a touch, though. I mean, not really enough to say, that's bad. But it is, and that's kind of the nature of the beast with the steam engine. But I give it a solid 8, which is better than some diesels that I get. As far as just operation by itself, I also give it another 8. Sound by itself, I give it a solid 9. It has a really, really good sound. It's all timed up very well, and it's very good timed with the smoke generator itself, too. So, very good decoder, very good sound. I like it, especially the whistle. The whistle is very great, so let's hear that again. Maybe. So, and for detail, I think I'm going to give it a 7. Let's go with a 7. I'm going to give it a 7 for detail, just because it's not, I wouldn't say it's brass quality. I mean, it's probably the best you're ever going to get in plastic, that's for sure. But it's not exactly brass quality. Some of the parts are a little fragile, and some things I didn't like about it, like I had to, redo the coupler. I had to add a few things myself, especially with the painting of the brake of the air hoses. So that's all I really have to say about that. So overall, I give it a solid 9. Overall, I will give it a 9, just because it is so good when you put it all together. It's a really good locomotive, and the price that I paid was really good. So a 9, it's one of the highest ratings I've ever given a locomotive on the show, or on the video, on a video. And I wanted to go over power real quick before we end the video. This locomotive is very powerful. It's very heavy, as you saw, and it has one set of traction tires on this very last driver. It is more powerful than the Athearn Genesis SD45-2, and that's strong. The Athearn Genesis SD45-2 weighs just a little over what the locomotive itself weighs. This locomotive weighed 1.24 pounds, and the Genesis SD45-2, I believe, weighed 1.35 pounds, I think, 1.35 pounds, somewhere around there. So So to be a little bit lighter, it's actually it's more powerful. It will pull a little bit more cars than the 45-2 by itself. But, however, not stronger than the Genesis FP45, which weighs in at a whopping 1.7 pounds total. Um, so it's not it definitely it's definitely beat by the 45 because the 45 has more traction and well got more weight. So that's the only reason. But it is definitely the second most powerful locomotive on my layout. The reason it doesn't have as much traction is we only have 8 drivers, where the other has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 wheels turning on the ground instead of just 8. So that's why the FP45 is a little more powerful. But I think if you were to make the Genesis 45 even, if you were to say disconnect the front trucks so where the back trucks are the only ones that are actually making power, I think this would be able to pull it backwards. But because the Genesis 45 is all-wheel drive, which like 90% of brand new locomotives are, actually probably 99. I think there's very few locomotives that are made that aren't anymore, and that's why it beats it because every wheel is powered. But that's all I have to say about that. Overall, great locomotive. I give it a 9. That's it. Y'all be safe, be careful, and I'll catch you later.